Forget what I said up until this point. Is it so obviously edge at 16 that should be the choice for the Cardinals? Let's listen.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Here, follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On Easy Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go check out FanDuel. So I've been in sports media in Phoenix since 2011, hosting this podcast since 2016. Okay. And I don't think I've come across a situation where the Cardinals are in right now. They've got too many options. And it's not a bad thing by any stretch. It's something that needs to be manicured. It's something that needs to be, delve into to make sure they make the right choice at 16. But I thought it'd be fascinating to do a full show on, is it obvious that they should pick this position? And with the, top 30 visits starting to round out, we're starting to see trends. We're starting to see a lot of edge rushers come in. We're starting to see equal amount of defensive tackles come in. And then we're starting to see spot other positions come in with big names that would have ties to the Cardinals if they were there at 16 for some form or fashion. So I'm going to run down the list. Best player available. Is it obvious they should just take best player available at 16? That's kind of what everybody, just take the best player available. It's not that easy. The best player available at what position? The best player available. According to whom? Your favorite draft pundit? Your favorite scout? Whoever's on their big board? Whatever it may be, I'll discuss that. Is it so obvious that they should just take the best defensive tackle at 16? And this is, them trading back notwithstanding. Did that yesterday, doing something different today because, again, there's so many options. Or is it just so obvious that the Arizona Cardinals should just take the best edge available at 16? Let's debate, shall we? The benefits of the Cardinals taking the best edge available, regardless of who it is, at 16. Whether it be Shamar Stewart, who the Cardinals were mocked to take, I think it was by Mel Kiper recently, Nick Scourton, Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Michael Williams from Georgia. Like those are the dudes that they brought in. They brought in Jihad Campbell from Alabama off ball. We're not talking about him right now. Is it so obvious you just take the best edge available and check the boxes of, you've got a young guy who can be mentored by Josh Sweat, Baron Browning, can play alongside Bijou Ojulari, who's hopefully having his coming out party this year. And you've got guys like Calais, Campbell, and Dalvin Tomlinson that will be able to rub shoulders with and be in one of the better young edge rusher positions in the NFL for learning purposes. Is it just obvious with that you get a very, very inexpensive player contractually at a position that for those that pop make a whole lot of cheese? Checkbox number 2. And then you're doubling down on what a weakness was over the last couple of years into a bona fide strength with long-lasting implications, you'd hope, if whoever they drafted 16 pans out. Is it so obvious that they should just do that? Those are the positives. And for the best edge available crowd, those are pretty good positives. Those are pretty good things because the other position groups, secondary, the interior defensive line is better than it's been in quite some time. And then you have a stud light with the potential of being a stud pass rush room. Yeah, you're cooking with gas at that point. Now, the other side doesn't make it so obvious is the Cardinals have needs elsewhere. And while they still have a need at off-ball linebacker, you're not targeting somebody at 16 for that. I'm assuming a third or fourth round pick, depending on what they do in the second. And if Monty Osborne decides to move up or down in any form or fashion throughout the draft, obviously that will shuffle things. But I think they still need a corner. They do need interior defensive line help. And, while I don't adhere to this, I don't believe this track, they need a wide receiver also, according to some. Okay. So for this exercise, we're uncovering all rocks, whether either it's obviously this or the field wins. So the other side is they need a corner. If Will Johnson's there at 16, they probably should take him. They need an offensive lineman, which is I'm bringing myself in now, where I think they should be drafting offensive lineman at 16. Because if you don't protect Kyler Murray, none of this is going to work. And if you don't have, so many depth pieces on the offensive line, one injury could crater a season. But not by itself, but you understand it could take place. It could be an ingredient to the locomotive slowing down, which is something that cannot happen this year, regardless of injury or not. And obviously, you don't wish injury upon anybody. So, is it obviously edge at 16 in summation? Not to me, but I could understand the argument as to why that would supersede interior defensive line and just best player available, whether it be corner, wide receiver, offensive line, what other options the Cardinals will have there, and they will have a bevy of options. And I'm excited for this. Just a little insight till tomorrow's show. I'm trying to give original content, because it's like, listen, we could talk about mock drafts every single day. I think mock drafts are fun. They're a cool exercise. And I only really think they matter the last week of the draft. So I kind of like to give more of a broader perspective, theoretically, behind what the position group drafted means and not just specific names. There is no bona fide, the Cardinals aren't picking top 3, okay? So a lot of this is predicated upon other teams. So what I'm going to lead off with tomorrow is, and this is not, apparently I get, it's called clickbait when people disagree with me, which is, I don't really understand that, but is the Cardinals' second round pick really a first round pick light? And I'm going to break down all of the wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and quarterbacks that could go in the first 45 picks right before the Cardinals pick and make it kind of. And it'll be an interesting case study. It'll be an interesting case study next. So tomorrow. So I just wanted to give a little insight into that. Is it so obviously edge? No. They have a litany of needs still. It's a lot better than it was, of course. But I can make a case for offensive line. I can make a case for corner. I can make a case for defensive line. I can't make a case for receiver. But there's 3. If you want to make a case for receiver, fine. Michael Wilson's not it. Greg Dortch isn't it. Okay, cool. It's not so obvious that it's pass rusher. They brought in 6. Okay, and that's as of a couple days ago. It's obviously going to go up. They've got 9 or 10 more top 30 visits to bring in. I just can't see. It must be edge. We'll see with things that come out, with visits, there's always crazy things that happen 72 or 96 hours before the draft. We'll keep it out for Peter Schrager's mock, even though Cliff Kingsbury's not here. He still has ties to the Cardinals. In some respect, it's just not obviously edge. Is it obviously defensive tackle? Is it obviously interior defensive line? We'll discuss that next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This is the fun stuff for sure. There's so many choose your own adventures that Monty Osifort can take part in, and I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I think you and I can take solace in the fact that the picks are in good hands. And letting the front office of an organization just do what they do now with a track record of being pretty solid on draft day, draft week. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what I think regarding what position should be taken at 16 or if they should trade back, the fun part about this is they can't pick the wrong position unless it's, tight end or safety or corner or running back, which would never happen. So with all of those things, all the filters in, obviously those positions aren't going to be in play. As long as they nail the talent and as long as they nail the skill set, this is more on the defensive side that, fits into Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon's mold like they've done. That's what they've done the entirety of this time. It's like they got to bring in a guy who fits the defense and who they can move around and who have different types of skill sets to be able to be utilized. Like Mac Wilson's a perfect example, whether it be coverage, run stopping, or being a part of exotic blitz packages with Budda Baker. Like he can do a lot of things, and that's what the Cardinals need on the defensive side of the ball. Now, the trickier part with that is the big boys up front on the interior. Is it so obvious that the Cardinals should draft a defensive tackle at 16? Let's talk about the positives. One, if the dude pops close to the same amount of money that you'd be getting, that you'd be paying an edge rusher. It's not so far off like tight end to wide receiver, where top tight ends are making like Christian Kirk or less wide receiver money. So it's not that far off. It's a lot closer. So if you can get, the next Christian Wilkins, or you can get the next Leonard Williams at 16, you're going to have very inexpensive labor for, inexpensive contract for the first 4 or 5 years, depending on what transpires. So that's a perk. And then even more than the edge rusher, I mean, obviously these guys are very close on the line. They're pretty much holding hands, pass rush, interior defensive line. They're right next to each other. But in the different rooms, I don't know if there's a better room in football for a young interior defensive lineman who's ready to pop to be alongside Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. That supersedes the pass rush room for sure. And that's not taking away from the pass rush room. It's putting on even more of a pedestal Calais Campbell and Dalvin Tomlinson. Now, they're older, okay? So the obvious thing is, you need to infuse some youth to go along with Darius Robinson. Sure, that's a positive. Is it obvious? Those are the perks. And on top of all of that, having an interior that can collapse the pocket of opposing offenses can be more impactful than having an elite pass rusher. One. Because if you can collapse the pocket from the interior, it makes everything else easier. Now, say you're below average on the interior, but you're great off the edge. There are blocking schemes for pass and run protection to circumvent the pass rush. But if you've got an elite interior, and it doesn't have to be like, a lot of times we see it as, Chris Jones or Aaron Donald, who can play both, but, they're bruisers in the A and B gaps. Like, that's one dude. What if you have, instead of an A+ and 2 B-, you have 3 B+? It's like, okay, it's the same thing. It could be better. Because what if I scream from the mountaintops? Pretty much since taking over when I had no idea what the hell I was doing in podcasting coming from radio in 2016. If you listen to some of the older ones, they were bad. They're bad. What have I been screaming from the mountaintops? Predominantly over the last handful of seasons is the Cardinals don't have very many teams that opposing teams have to scheme for, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Even when Patrick Peterson was here, 2016, 2017, it was him and it was Chandler Jones and Calais before he left. But that was about it. 3 out of 11. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but not in the secondary. Budda as a rookie and second-year player. the beauty of having a stud interior defensive lineman who comes in and can be a Jalen Carter in year 2 is got to count for him. Got to count for Dalvin Tomlinson. Got to count for Calais Campbell this year. It's like, who do you stop? And then if they're able to plug up the interior, good luck off the edge. And if they're able to block 70% of that, good luck circumventing Garrett Williams, Max Melton, Budda Baker, Dadrian Taylor Demerson. And I don't know when it happened. Like, I've been, an NBA dude forever. It's my first love. It's still like, let's debate NBA whenever. Defensive battles suck in the NBA. Like 90s basketball. Oh, a finals game was 87-83. Huh? Give me all the points. Defense, but give me all the points. Okay? I've completely flipped in the NFL. It's like, I want the Cardinals to have the best defense in the NFL. If they have the 15th best offense and the top defense in the NFL, I'd have that than a top 5 offense and a 20th best defense. I don't know, and I know that, first of all, they're not going to be the 15th best offense. So the point is, if they're a top 5 defense, this team's winning 10-plus games and probably making the playoffs, barring any sort of unforeseen injuries or anything like that. So was it obvious a defensive tackle at 16? No. And I would 100% understand why they went defense at edge DT at 16. For sure. I'm not like, oh no, it's dumb for them to do that. No. That's not what all of this has been about. I do think it should be offensive line. Still, you can never have a deep enough offensive line. Would it be a reach to take Gray Zabel at 16? Yeah. Would they be able to get him at 46? No. So you take your guy. And the second iteration of this conversation will kick off tomorrow's show. It's like they're going to have a fringe first-round pick at 45 or 46. Like, it's crazy to think because you're halfway into the next round. But when we go down the list, it's going to be a lot closer than people think. So if you go not defensive tackle, not edge at 16, and you do take an offensive lineman, you could take first-round talent off the edge or in the interior in the second round, just like you could do with the offensive line. I get, but there's less very good offensive linemen in this draft than pass rushers and interior defensive linemen. That's where I struggle. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Is it obviously best player available at 16? We'll tackle that next because it's football, and they tackle in football. I got to try something new. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs start tonight. The play-in starts tonight. And FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You want to pick who wins the championship? It's wide open this year, man. You going with the upstart OKC Thunder? Boston Celtics to repeat? The Knicks to make a push? Luka and LeBron? You can place your cheese wherever you want over at FanDuel. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, it's something that I was just looking up. I feel like the Cardinals, there's going to be FOMO no matter what at 16. There's too many targets, which is a fantastic thing. Obviously, I say that in jest. Like, they've brought in 6 pass rushers, 6 defensive tackles, a couple offensive linemen, Anthony Belton, and Josh Simmons, who could play right tackle at Ohio State. That would be 3 Ohio State players picked in the first round in consecutive years. Justin Fry, offensive line coach from Ohio State, now an Arizona Cardinal. That's a reach for him, in my opinion. Now, if they trade back, we're opening up different things. They brought in a couple running backs too. It's not so obviously anything. Now, is it obviously best player available at 16? What's best player available? What's best player available? What position is best player available? This is like who's on first. It's a circular conversation. What's best player available? Is Will Johnson the best player available at 16 if he's there? Maybe. Is James Pierce Jr. the best player available off the edge if he's there? Is Jalen Walker? Is Gray's Abel? Is Matthew Golden wide receiver? Like, what does best player available mean? For the Cardinals on their big board, I feel like they're going to have like 20 dudes and they're just going to have to really grind the tape and see what's best. I feel like there's going to be tied for first like 5 or 6 dudes. So what is best player available? It comes down to what is the best position available. And then circular argument, who's on first? Edge, defensive tackle, offensive line, corner. What is it? Everybody has their own thoughts and everybody's, obviously allowed to have their own thoughts. And this is where I struggle. Like, I'm not going to go down numbers like, oh, he ran a 4.38 and he's got 34 inches. It's like, can the dude play or not? There are 20 dudes that the Cardinals could take at 16. And there's one thing that we know about all drafts. I mean, there's many things that we know about all drafts. There's one thing that we know about all drafts. There's going to be a stud that people don't expect. I mean, oh, he's a reach at 16. Oh, he's all pro. Oh, my goodness gracious. Nobody saw that, Justin Jefferson. It's like, well, yeah, just translate it to the NFL game. Nobody saw. I mean, there were a couple of receivers that went before him. Didn't Jalen Reagor go before him? I think it was somebody that went before Justin Jefferson. That was a joke. What does best player available mean? I put this on here just to kind of make a joke out of it because it's like, what does that mean? Is the best position available? Is the best player available via the combine? Is it the best player available via the tape? Is it like, do you weigh more than the others? This is something that Monty Osborne, Jonathan Gannon, Nick Roush, Drew Pet's got to figure out. What's the best position available for this team? Is it the offense? Because the defense seems to be much stronger than we expected with, free agency and then the bevy of picks to go. Do you double down on the defense and look at the offense and be like, man, there's a lot more playmakers on the offense. Let's shore up the front 7. Is a big interior defensive lineman that's like a 1 or 2 get down guy going to be good enough for the scheme that Jonathan Gannon and Nick Roush want to implement next year? Where he's going to have to come off the field in third down? Or are you going to draft kind of a smaller guy who can play like Darius Robinson off the edge and on the interior? Like, do you partner Will Johnson with Garrett Williams and have a true bona fide outside CB1 with Max Melton CB2? Is Max Melton a CB1 on the outside? Do you draft T-Mac from Arizona if he's there to partner with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride? These are all viable questions. I think the last one is the weakest. But what does best player available mean? For me, it's the best offensive lineman on the board. That's best player available. It's best player available. And that's subject to change. Last year, during this time, I think at this point, I succumbed to, okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. at 4. Before then, I was massive team trade back. For the first 80% of free agency to the draft, I was massive team trade back. Unapologetically. And I, I still have flare-ups with that. I still have flare-ups with that. It was never 100% either way. It was like 90-10 and like 75-25. But the overwhelming percentage shifted. And I'm allowed to change my thoughts. I'm a human. We don't know what best player available is. So take best player available. What does that mean? That's my favorite Twitter comment. Offensively, no, best player available. What does that mean? Oh, it's the best player available. Oh, cool. For a team that needs 5 positions, what does best player available mean? If any of these edge rushers or any of these defensive tackles were top 10 picks, they'd be taken in the top 10. And I understand you have to account for quarterbacks with teams. This is one of the weakest quarterback classes we've seen in a while. But you're not seeing other teams be like, oh, nope, James Pierce got to go top 5. Get a veteran quarterback, but get the generational talent. None of these guys we're talking about have that grade. Will a couple of them pop off and become that? Probably. Just don't know which one or which handful of. The Cardinals need to get it right. That's it. And we don't know what right's going to be until, the end of year 1, midway through year 1. Could happen sooner. But what Monty Osborne is tasked to do is put the Arizona Cardinals roster in the best position to succeed with fail-safes in place with veterans at positions to where if rookies do need more time, the locomotive won't slow down. Because say it with me, there's nothing that can slow this locomotive down. If there is, we're going to be having very different conversations at the end of the 2025 season. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Will the Cardinals' second-round pick really turn into a late first-round pick? Light. I'll talk about that tomorrow. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you then.